and welcome to the Plant-Based Revolution podcast with your host, myself, Neil Damrell from My Lifestyle Coach. Thank you very much for tuning in again this week to this week's episode, and I really appreciate your support. The listeners are growing each month, so it really fills me with joy and motivation that I'm helping you guys adopt more to a plant-based lifestyle, inspire you to be healthier in any which way that you feel you need help. And don't be afraid to get in touch if you need any questions answered, and I'd happy for you to pop over to iTunes, lend us a review on iTunes. That'd be much appreciated. I'd love to get your feedback, see how you're getting on with the show, any guests you would like to have on the show, and what episodes you enjoy most of, or what episodes or kind of topics you'd like me to discuss more about in the future. So today's episode is part 2 of why calories are just like money. And as I said in part 1, it was kind of just a brief episode because I did record the episode and then for some reason it didn't save. So just recording it again, but part 2 this time is giving you the strategies and tools that you can actually use to help you lose weight but also save money at the same time. So it's a key factor that calories are just like money. We all want to maybe save more money, have a bit more money in the bank to enjoy ourselves with, and we'd probably like to lose a little bit of weight and lose a bit of body fat and feel healthier and more confident in our bodies because we're a little bit slimmer. So today is going to give you the tools that you can use, and in the links of the description to this episode will be some attachments that you can download and you can actually get a hold of in order for you to apply what I'm going to discuss with you in more detail and apply it into your own lives, and how you can go about benefiting that, benefit from that in the future. So if you haven't listened to part 1, then I suggest you first go back to part 1, which is episode 29. Have a brief listen to episode 29, which is only a brief episode, 10-15 minutes long, just talking about why calories are just like money. And then once you've listened to that episode, come over to this episode and we'll give you the tools to apply the principles that I talked about in episode 29. So if you haven't done that, then head over to there. First, pause me now and then pop over onto this episode once you've listened to episode 29, because it will definitely help you understand what I'm talking about and give you a clearer indication, a clearer idea of the principles I'm talking about and these tools and how you can go about utilising these tools to maximise the results. So what I'm going to discuss first of all is we're just going to talk about calories, okay? So if you haven't done so already, or you haven't used it in the past, or you might have used some form of tracker in the past, then I recommend you use MyFitnessPal. So I monitor all my clients' diet through MyFitnessPal. If you want to become friends with me, then just ask for a friend request for My Lifestyle Coach, and you can be friends with me, and we can hang out on MyFitnessPal. And if you do become a client, then I can also track your calories and hold you accountable to your new diet, or just, it's not necessarily a diet, but making sure that you're in a calorie deficit if you're looking to lose weight, or if you're looking to gain a bit more muscle, making sure you're getting the right amount of calories in, and the good calories, not just filling your body with junk and putting on weight you want to put on muscle. So I'm just going to discuss briefly about MyFitnessPal, how you can go about using that, and why I think it is a great tool to use. So MyFitnessPal is a great tool. You've got an app that you can download on your phone so you can track your food every day, week in, week out. You can also log on online, which gives you some really good information, some really good recipes on their blogs as well. And you can build a community up as well, people talking about losing weight. And if you follow me, I've got a few followers on there that are my clients that I'll just track their calories and see how they're getting on. So, but like I said before in episode number 1, it's important to track your calories, because if you don't, how are you going to understand what calories you need to cut out, or what food you need to stop consuming in order to have a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight, for example. So you need to be really conscious and honest with yourself in order to lose the weight. And by monitoring MyFitnessPal on a regular basis, it may become quite boring and tedious, it's the simple things that you do consistently that will make the big changes. So it won't be a case of necessarily recording everything you eat for months and months on end. I think it's very important to record everything you eat for 1 or 2 weeks, maybe a month if you can handle it for a month, because most people, and I count myself in that bracket, tend to have a similar diet day in, day out. So I would have the same breakfast every day. I've recorded that a couple of times, so I know exactly how many calories I'm having for breakfast every day, and I always weigh out my breakfast as well. So my porridge, I'm weighing out 100 grams of porridge, 100 grams of milk, some water, so I know exactly what's going in my breakfast every day. I don't just pour a bowl of cereal in and then eat it. I weigh it out every day, just so one, it will save me money. So we're going back to the money element as well, because I'm not using or overcooking what I'm not going to consume, or having too much for what I don't need and then going to be throwing it away. So it's helping me to keep my food costs down, because I'm utilising, my porridge oats are going to last me 10 days. For if I get a kilo of porridge oats, 100 grams, it's going to last me 10 breakfasts. So I can see how that's going to budget my money budget, and also is going to help me making sure that I'm consuming the right amount of calories every day for breakfast, because that's the kind of calories that I've kind of got used to in order to maybe put on a bit more weight. I'm a big breakfast fan, so I tend to have more of my calories at breakfast time than I would do maybe at lunch or dinner. So that will apply differently to you. If you're not a breakfast fan and you prefer having your bigger meals in the evening, then make sure you have a lighter breakfast and a bigger meal in the evening if that suits you better than someone else. So that's what I do first of all. So making sure I'm tracking everything I eat. My lunch and dinner will vary, but I make certain meals, and if you're having similar meals, then MyFitnessPal is great for implementing every single ingredient, and then you can make your own recipe. I've got a load of recipes that I've saved on my own profile, which I can access and share with people if they're interested. But what will happen is that once you've done that recipe, you may go back and make that recipe again. For example, today I made my flapjacks that I make as a nice snack, and I've recorded that recipe, so I can just go back to that again, know exactly how much of each ingredient I need to put in the recipe, and then voila, I've got my healthy flapjacks all ready to go, and they're going to be divided up into healthy portions as I have calculated on the app, so I know how many they're going to save me. Again, save me money as well, because I'm making my own flapjacks. They're going to cost me probably less than 50p, or not even that, per serving, instead of going and buy some expensive healthy flapjack that's been offered in the supermarket. They're charging you like £1.50 for a flapjack just because it's a healthier alternative. So think about how you can make your own flapjacks. Honestly, it took me an hour in the oven, and it took me probably half an hour of making it, and then it's done. I was doing it while I was having my lunch, and it's all ready to go. So another good tip to save you money as well. In terms of the app itself, you can scan foods. So if you buy a lunch on the go, and you don't have to worry about typing it all in, you can just scan the barcode, and the ingredients will go straight on to your allowance for the day, and it will calculate how much protein, carbohydrates and fats you have. So if you're trying to break down, have more protein than carbohydrates, for example, then you can see when you need to cut down on certain foods, or how you can maybe change your meals so you're making sure you're having more proteins than carbohydrates, for example. And also it helps you understand the fats, so making sure you're consuming good amounts of healthy fats and not the bad fats. So if you are worried that your fat intake is quite high, you can look at the breakdown and have a look whether that's more of your saturated fat, which won't be a good thing, or is it more of your healthy monosaturated, polyunsaturated fats, which obviously going to be better for you, because they're the fats that are going to help improve and protect you when it comes to heart disease, help improve your good cholesterol levels, etc. And other fats you want to have, so plenty of omega-3s, 6s that you get from oily fish, avocados, nuts and seeds, all those kind of things you want to definitely have more of in your diet. So other benefits of MyFitnessPal, like I said before, it just allows you to be really, really honest. And it's a key factor, like I've said in part 1, that you need to write down every single calorie you consume. So even if you have a bit of cheese while you're making some cheese on toast, for example, you need to weigh that cheese out and account for that on your MyFitnessPal, and then you can see how much extra calories you're consuming. And a lot of time I've spoken to a few people about this, and a really good episode that I would definitely recommend you go and check out would be my interview with Sophie Heath. She was a friend of mine from university, and she talked about her strategies that she used with her own food diary, and she wrote down everything in a booklet and then crossed it off as red if it was bad, highlighted it green if it was good, and amber if it was kind of middle ground, and highlighting those factors of the foods that she was consuming. Understood, or helped her to understand, whether she's going wrong, is she having more good foods or bad foods, and it also made her more conscious about those little snacks. So if there was a little bit of cheese that she could have while making a dinner, she wouldn't have that cheese because she knew she would have to then go and write it down in a diary, which would be more inconvenient. So by doing that, it can also hold you a bit more accountable, whether thinking, right, I don't actually need that snack, it's just something because I'm bored. Because if I do that, I still got to go onto my app, spend a bit of time weighing it out, measuring it, and then putting it into my calculations for the day. So it does make you a bit more conscious, and it maybe prevents you from actually consuming those extra calories that you probably are consuming at the moment subconsciously. So again, another good reason to hold you accountable. So the app's there to hold you accountable, and also if you're a client of mine, I can hold you accountable by seeing what you're consuming on every day and give you some feedback on a weekly basis, see how you're getting on in terms of what things we could change to help you improve in a healthy way, so you're going to maintain that and be more sustainable in the long run. So on to the personal survival budget. So this is going to be the same thing when it comes to the MyFitnessPal. I'm sure there's plenty of apps out there actually that can help you track your income and your outgoings. I tend to like to do it on my Excel spreadsheet because I've got used to that. I've been doing it for 2 or 3 or probably 4 or 5 years now, almost religiously. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to talk you through what I put on mine. So I've done mine since 2015, and I've got accounts for the last 4 years of every single thing I've spent. I may miss out a few pennies here and there, but generally I am very, very good. So what I would have, this is going to be accessible for you as well, a free Excel spreadsheet, no PDF, so you can go straight in and start putting in your own incomes and outgoings depending on what fits you as an individual. But I'm just going to talk you through mine, what I have on mine, so it gives you an example of what kind of things I've broken my income and my outgoings into to help them, or to help me kind of clearly identify where areas in my life I'm overspending or underspending or not getting enough income in, for example. So if we go through what I've got to begin with, so what I've done, if you look at the spreadsheet, if you listen to this episode, then I definitely recommend maybe you pause this episode if you are listening to it in the car or on the go, and come back to it, and when you've got your access to your laptop, then click on the link, open up the Excel spreadsheet, and I can talk you through it while you're listening to me, and it'll give you a better idea of how I kind of space mine out, how I talk about mine, and how you can maybe go about applying yours to help you manage your finances much better. So okay, so what I have to begin with is my outgoings. Okay, to the top, right across the top we've just got each month of the year, so January all the way through to December. If you want to do it from the tax year in the UK, which is from April to April, then you could do that also. I have to do that for my accounts, but this is just something I like to do myself. I'd rather work personally from January to December rather than April to April, in terms of how I'm budgeting my year, and then I just will add the April to April onto my accounts for my accountant to help her work out my tax that I need to pay that year. So what we have across the top, like I said, is your year. At the end of that, we also have the total outgoings for the year, and then I've divided that also up into per month, per week, and per day as well. So it's really interesting because we might overspend unconsciously maybe per day, but then they'll add up per week. So it also allows you to understand, if you have overspent maybe 1 month on food, for example, because there's maybe 5 weeks in a month compared to 4, but then it also over the course of a year will still balance itself out, so you're still spending roughly your budget per week on food, depending on what your budget is. So down the left-hand side of the column, I've kind of kept them, the headlines that I use for you, so you can understand how I go about my personal survival budget, and also how you can maybe add in what fits around your outgoings. So initially what I've done at the top, I've kind of got a headline which is property. So that for me would be like mortgage payments, council tax payments, etc. And then also you could, if it's rent, for example, then also those kind of things can go in there. Got communication. So what I've kind of in mind, I've put down phone bill and internet. So if you've got an internet line, most people have these days, that's why you're listening to me. And what you're paying out on your mobile phone bill or your home phone. I'm sure nobody's got really a home phone that much anymore. Then I've kind of gone into entertainment. So my entertainment, I look at anything that is a luxury that definitely I could afford not to have, but also choose to have. So luxuries like Netflix, I've got Netflix, cinema tickets. So if I go to the cinema, I write down, how much I spent going to the cinema. That's a treat every now and then. I probably don't go that often. If I go to a concert, I enjoy live music. So how much have I spent on concert tickets that month, and then over the course of the year. Theatre as well, I enjoy going to the theatre. So that's what I've written down. Football tickets, might go to the old live football game. And so far, comedy club. I went to a comedy show earlier in the year, so that was down as well. So Netflix, for example, I've also put in Spotify, as well. So Spotify, I pay for a subscription, and Netflix, I pay for a subscription. So that is continuous, month to month, every month. And obviously I know how much I spend out per year because I've added that up per year. So Netflix, if you're on Netflix in the UK, you're paying about £80, £70 a year. And Spotify subscription, £120 a year. So you can see where we maybe might be able to save. So £9.99 doesn't sound a lot, but when you add it up over the course of a year, it does, it's a big chunk of money that maybe you could put aside for someone else. So cinema tickets, etc., that's just ad hoc here and there. If I was going regularly, then maybe would I think about having a subscription to the cinema if I'm going like 4 or 5 times a week, 5 times a month, because Cineworld, for example, you can pay £20 a month and see unlimited movies. So I don't go to the cinema that often, so the odd ticket here and there is probably fine, because I'm not going, every month or enough times in a month to warrant maybe a discount. So then I've gone down into sort of toiletries. So yes, I've written down everything. So toiletries, so how much I spend on moisturiser. So I do like to spend. I do like to look after myself, but also I've sort of reduced my outgoings on that, because I used to have a lot of fancy stuff like Dermalogica moisturiser and Lab Series for men, which is quite expensive. Now I've gone to the budget stuff, so I go to Aldi's really good face wash and night cream, and also use the Bulldog actually, which is really good. There's normally on offer, so I use that one as well, which is a lot cheaper than it's £4 a moisturiser compared to like 15-20 quid that I was paying before. So I write down everything I spend on my toiletries. Cleaning products for the house is under toiletries as well, and kitchen stuff I've written down. So kitchen foil, for example, kitchen products like washing up liquid, etc. That all goes down as well, how much I spend on that. So you look at see how you can save. If you're overspending on fancy stuff, you can maybe go to the budget stuff and save yourself maybe quite a few few pounds over the course of the year if you're spending a lot on that compared to the fancy branded stuff. So I've added in a few, you might have it on yours, like beauty, so that'd be my haircuts, how much I spend on a haircut. I enjoy sports massage, the massages. I do dye my hair, so how much I spend on that. and treatments would be like facials and stuff like that, which I kind of enjoy. I used to have, actually, when I was hairdressing, a regular facial massage every month, actually, so I did spend quite a bit. That's when I actually didn't earn a lot of money, actually, so it's quite interesting how times have changed, where now I actually wouldn't really spend much money on that, even though it's a treat here every now and then. Maybe got more finances, just more important things to spend money on, see, not when I was younger. But it's interesting because the way I look, living in London, if you're in a big city, or even if in a smaller town, there are ways to get things a bit cheaper, so you can get haircuts for free. My haircut is for free, and that's at a barber in school, so a student will cut my hair. It takes a bit longer, but it's for free, so it saved me a lot of money. I have paid out the odd bit of money for barbers across the road, which has cost me about £15. But if I was spending that over the course of every month, which I roughly get my haircut probably every 6 weeks, then that's going to add up over the course of a year, as opposed to having most of it cut for free. So I've only on average spent about £4 a month on my haircuts, which is pretty good, whereas I could have spent £15. So there you go, that's how these little savings can add up. Like I said, with your calories, those little things add up over the course of a year. So same with massages and my food, how much I spend on food. If I spend money on food and it's not ingredients, then it still goes under my food budget. And just turn your attention to the left far column. I've got outgoing targets. So what I tend to try and have with my food is try and give myself a budget. So on average I probably spend £100 a month, but some months I'll spend more. My average at the moment for the year is £95 a month, which isn't bad actually, just over £20 a week. So quite happy with that, because some months I've spent less than others. I've overspent. So I can see whether I've overspent. I do travel quite a bit, so sometimes I have to spend more money on the go because I can't buy fresh ingredients, so I'm spending more for convenience. But what I also try and do is spend money on ingredients and take it with me and cook in the hotel room if I can, and keep it simple that way. So that's another good way of saving money if you're on the road, and it also allows you to eat healthier on the road as well. Also got down here car maintenance, so how much you spend on petrol. Like I said, my job, I do quite a lot of travelling, so I will spend quite a bit on petrol, and I try not to use the car for my own personal use as much, so mainly more for business. So I can see how much I'm spending when I've got busy months, when I'm working away a lot, compared to quieter months or jobs locally to me where I'm not using the car as much as well. And then how much you'd spend on the car, car wash, washing the car, even if you buy car wash stuff to wash it yourself, how much you spend on that, or how much you spend on getting it done for you by someone else. Car tax, car screen wash, insurance, MOT, servicing, how much if you're on finance, how much you spend on finance as well. Car tyres, road cover, every single thing I write down that I'd spend out in the car, if even if it was a smelly, that goes on there as well, which would be maybe under car screen wash, that kind of thing, or car washing, keeping it nice and fresh. Then travel, I live in London, so how much I spend on the tube each month, how much will I spend on taxis. I went out the other night, I could have got a taxi home, it was going to cost me £25. The tube is still working, it's going to take me an hour, but that's only going to cost me £6. So my choice is, I'm just going to stay out a bit later and get the tube home and save myself money, so I'm not spending loads of money and wasting money on taxis. So, yes, there's convenience, but also, you got to look at the same when it comes to convenience in terms of food. So you spend money on going out for a meal, or you get someone to make it for you, get a takeaway, that's convenient, but it's not saving you money. And also probably you're not going to probably have really good calories. The takeaway food's not going to be as healthy as it would do if you make it at home. So while you're paying for convenience, you're having to have a trade-off, where same with the money I'm paying for convenience if I was going to take a taxi, but the trade-off is that I'm not going to be able to save as much money down the line. So the trade-off for you with food would be that if I'm having a takeaway, the trade-off is that I'm probably not going to lose as much weight because I've probably overconsumed a high fat meal because I don't know what's in the meal, as opposed to making it myself and know what's in the meal. And probably when you make it yourself at home, you probably have less portions, because when you buy a takeaway, because you spent more money on it, you feel obliged maybe to eat the whole thing, etc. And the portions are always bigger as well. So write down all my travel expenses. Memberships. So what I put down for memberships there, I put down, my gym membership, if I have any member of any social clubs. I've got Spotify down there, so I got that twice now, so I have to amend that one. Then you want to look at, so other memberships. So anything that's kind of a direct debit that you choose to have. So I have a Tri Club membership, that's only one payment a month. Running membership. Do you go to exercise classes regularly, or do you have pay for a subscription to a personal trainer? How much is that costing you per month? And then you can work it out how much it's costing you per year. Is it worth that investment? You're getting the most from that investment. It allows you really to look at things like, if I'm spending all this money out, I need to get a return on this investment. I can't just keep spending money out, and it's hopefully going to get me somewhere. You need to see returns. So it allows you to think, I need to cut back on this, make some changes, look at for some free alternatives to begin with. And then maybe if income's coming in different ways, you can maybe increase the outgoings that way. So clothes, so smart clothes, sports clothes, shoes. I've put down cycling, my stuff, so I do a bit of cycling. So how much would I spend on events, cycle clothing? How much will I spend on going away? I'm going to Mallorca on a holiday soon, cycling, so how much I spend on that. Servicing my bike as well, just as would do if I'm servicing the car. I've put down nights out, how much will I spend just going out for a drink? How much will I go out if I'm out with friends? How much will I spend out eating out? So I've ate out not that much this year. I have done it a lot in the past before, and that's something I've really kind of been conscious to cut down on. And this year's only been about 300 quid, but I think in previous years I could look at that again, and that is pretty big actually. I think that was when I was with my ex-girlfriend. We used to eating out a lot, all she did. So that was a faux pas. Let's have a look. Let's see. Eating out. Yeah, that's a lot. So this is going back maybe 3 years, 2 years now, 2 years, yeah. And in that year I spent £1,200 eating out, which is £100 a month eating out. So that's a pretty fancy meal so far this year. I mean, I'm single, so I'm not going to go out as much. I've only spent £20 a month. There's still a few months left to go in the year, but I'm sure I'm going to keep that quite low now, because I'm not really going to be doing much next few months while I'm saving. So you can see when you've got a year-to-year comparison, just as you would do when I do the health assessments, you've got a year-to-year review of how you're progressing with your fitness levels. Is your cholesterol going up because you're slowly increasing your weight? How you can maybe adapt that and change that for the following year, and then you can see trends in a more positive light. And just having these kind of trends on the way back, oh my God, I've spent way too much there. That's something I need to change. That's what I need to change. Credit card bills, how much you spend on that. I don't spend that anymore, but that was money I was spending out, and now I can put away for savings. So you've got to just be really, really honest about everything that goes in and out. So I've put down supplements, so I spend out a bit of money on vitamin D, immune support stuff, and a few supplements that I actually stick to that really, really help me. But I've written those. Business expenses, if you run like me, a self-employed business, then how much you spend on that, etc. How much I'll spend on the accountant, so that'd be just one-off payments once a month, or once a year, sorry. And then at the bottom, got total outgoings. So how much does that add up? And you can see over the course of a year, each month, whether you're overspending, underspending, and seeing, Christ, I spent quite a lot that month. That's a lot when you add all those up, so you can see your total outgoings and where you can maybe, could you save on a gym membership and just exercise outside in the summer? All these little things that can help you budget more efficiently. The final bit is the income. So the income is the same across the top, the years, down the middle, or down the side and left hand side, very far side, income goals. So what will my income goals be, personal wise, in terms of business with the My Lifestyle Coach? What my goals for that? One-to-one personal training with clients outside, with my health assessment work, what my kind of incomes I'm hoping to, expecting to have for that, so you can kind of pre-budget. So with the incomes, is what's quite nice is that, right, I know I'm getting this per month, but if I'm making a bit of extra this month, how much is that going to help me? And then down the bottom I have the total income, and then at the bottom I have profit and loss. So I have a profit and loss for each month, and then you can also, like I said, look at that over the course of the year. And over the course of the year, even if you have some negative months, which I've had, because I know I get quieter months during certain times of the year, I'm still in profit by the end of the end of the year. So when you look at it in the long term, you can see that, yeah, you can make a little bit of a loss and a hit on the a couple of months, but if that trend continues, then obviously it's not going to be in a positive way. So you want to make sure that you kind of nip these in the bud early. And that's when it comes down to looking at your calories in and out. You can see if you're monitoring them so closely, if you want to maintain those calories, you probably get to a point where you know how many calories you're consuming per day, and you're not going to see a weight loss or weight gain whatsoever because you're happy where you are. But if you're trying to shift quite a few kilos, you need to be consistent. And if you're not hitting targets each month, you make sure that you need to push on a bit harder the next month. You need to hold yourself accountable to things, and by having it on a spreadsheet and looking back over your incomes and outgoings, just as you would do what you're putting in your mouth, and how much you're expending in terms of your exercise, definitely going to help you achieve the results you want to achieve. And people talk about diets all the time. What diet should I do? What's the next one? What's the best fix? And it is come down to just calories in, calories out. You can eat pretty much what you want. Certain foods definitely are going to be better for you than others, but if you took it as basics straight away, just look at your calorie consumption first of all, keep your basics nice and consistent, and then you can start looking at different food groups and how that's going to help you. Because definitely if you are overweight at the moment, just by losing weight, that's going to help improve your blood pressure, improve your cholesterol, regardless of the other foods you consume. And then once you get down to kind of a healthier weight, you can start looking at your calories in terms of the quality calories that you're consuming a bit more closely. So don't try and solve everything at once. So what food should I have while working at a calorie deficit, all these kind of things. But generally, if you're having less calories, you're probably going to consuming better foods anyway. So you look at one thing, and those things will snowball in terms of you getting healthier and losing the weight. And also, like I said, with this personal survivor budget, it will help you become healthier, and in terms of your finances, and help you maybe save for a nice holiday or deposit for a house or something like that. So it's going to help you definitely in the long run to manage. And it's a constant process. Something I review once a month, write down everything I consume in terms of how much I spend. As soon as I bought something, I just literally go onto the spreadsheet, open it up, whack it in, add it on to the account already. So if I've had like £10 on food already, then I just add that £10 on to maybe another £10 that I've purchased that day, and keep it topped up. And it does really help to keep you in check and just kind of understand where there's certain savings I definitely can still make more. So the food wise, I would like to cut down on that a bit more as well, but so far it's pretty good. So so that is part 2, guys, of why calories are just like money. And what I'm gonna, like I said, to do is make sure you go to the attachment. That'll be on the show notes, so check it out. Hopefully it's helpful for you. If you've got any questions regarding any of this, then please get in touch. I would happily help you out. And if you want to change anything on the spreadsheet, it's an open spreadsheet, it's not a PDF, so you can just adapt it as you like. I'm sure you're going to find it really useful. It's already calculated in terms of the sums, so they already add up for you and divide it up in terms of per month, per week, per day. and also the profit and loss is already calculated as well. So all you got to do is just maybe add in what you get, what your incomes are, and what your outgoings are to work out your personal survival budget. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. I know since I've been doing this over the last 5 years, it has been a really big help for me, and I'm safe to say that things are in the positive, they're progressing well in terms of the accounts, which is a positive because that wasn't the case a couple of years ago. And I'm feeling good. I don't have to count my calories because I'm just happy with where I am and not trying to gain muscle or lose any weight, just eating well. And because I've done it, like I said before, so much now for so long, it becomes normal. So like I said initially, all of this will be overwhelming to begin with, but just start off with simple things. Just monitoring your calories if you're looking to lose weight. If you want to look at your money situation as well, then just write down simple things. And once you get into a flow, you'll find that it'll become easier and easier the more you do. But take one day at a time, 1 week at a time. Be honest with yourself. Don't get overwhelmed by everything. And I'm sure if you're consistent and patient, then you will achieve the financial freedom and the weight loss that you've always desired. So, thank you again for listening to today's episode. Hope you found this useful. You can always get in touch with me on My Lifestyle Coach on Facebook or on Instagram. And if you haven't come across the Plant Powered Show as yet, then the Plant Powered Show is going to be going out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursdays live on my Lifestyle Coach page and streaming on Instagram as well, where we'll do workouts, Motivational Monday, Topic Tuesday and Thought Thursday at 9 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time here in the UK, talking about everything that we can to help you get healthier, fitter and live a stress-free life going forward in the future. So hopefully this episode again has been helpful. Really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me today, and we'll catch you next time.